So one of the best lessons that Bernard taught me was to be humble. And the lessons weren't always very comfortable for me, in that usually when he encouraged me to be humble, it was in moments where I was when I was in a state of like absolute righteousness, absolutely believing that what I had done was okay. There's no question about it. There's nothing wrong with what I did. I was absolutely in the right, and everything else was irrelevant. So a lot of these lessons took place when I was a teenager and like a young adult, where I was moving through that selfish phase that we all tend to go through, and learning what it actually means to be considerate of other people, what it means to take care of how we communicate, of how we treat other people, especially the people that we want to develop and keep strong relationships with and develop connections with. So what I learned was that in that state of righteousness and in that state of only thinking about things from my personal perspective, only thinking about things within my set of priorities, was that I would automatically dismiss and not care about anyone else. I would not take into consideration who they are. I would not take into consideration the effect that my words or behavior might have had on them. And I would not take into consideration the effects of my words and behavior on our relationship and the potential we had to connect with each other. So it's in that state of complete self-absorption and selfishness is where humbleness can't exist. It doesn't exist there, because to be humble means to acknowledge that our personal opinions, our personal priorities, our personal actions and thoughts and beliefs are not the most important thing, and are not absolutely 100% right all the time. It requires taking a step back and practicing. It's almost like a letting go of self and a letting go of how tightly we tend to hold on to the concepts that we use to build these feelings of being important, being right, being acknowledged. So, what humbleness felt like in those moments where I was learning about it was I had a big resistance to it. I had I had to really push myself to step out of that state of righteousness, which is a very similar thing to when we're angry, to when we are having an argument. It's that fighting to be right. Very often we go through this experience of wanting to fight for our rightness. And it's exactly the same thing in humbleness and practicing humbleness. We have to be willing to let go of that insistence of I am 100% right here. There is absolutely nothing wrong. There's nothing to be questioned. We have to let go of that to be able to acknowledge that, you know what, maybe there are other perspectives, maybe there are other experiences, maybe there are other positions in life and in other people that are equally valid, and that can open us to considering a wider scope of life, of ourselves, of the world, to open up our tunnel vision and see things with a little bit of a wider perspective. And So practicing that humbleness, I had to really push. I had to really kind of like in the beginning convince myself that I need to step back out of this stance that I'm in, this rigidity, this righteousness, to consider what my the impact of my words and actions. And this is not within the sense of like, oh no, anytime anyone takes offense at anything that I say, I need to be humble and recognize how I was wrong there. It's not about that. This is about both parties taking equal responsibility, because any communication, any relationship, it takes two to tango. There's always two participants, and both are equally creating and participating in that relationship and in the communication. So it's being willing and open to reflect on who I was in that moment of communicating. Was I allowing hidden resentment to come through? Was I allowing that position, that stance of righteousness to dominate my expression? Was I being so rigid in my position that I was unwilling to acknowledge another person? Things like that. So it's a reflection on self. It's not about not offending other people. So I hope that I've made that clear. It's really, really about who am I within it. So in the moments where I take responsibility, where I practice humbleness, are in the moments where I have not considered someone else, where I have not considered the impact of my words and actions, where I have been acting out of a position of righteousness, where I have been acting from a belief that I am unquestionable, I'm right, I am superior, I am all of these things. And in those actions and in those words, where I have created ripples in the people and the world around me, that maybe within actually reflecting on what I did and who I was within what I did, maybe I didn't actually want to do that. Maybe my actions and words hurt someone, and were inconsiderate, and were selfish, and. So to me, being responsible for ourselves and being a responsible person in our relationships with other people and with the world around us, being humble is one of the most important principles within that. You cannot be responsible and practice responsibility without also practicing humbleness, without also being willing to reflect on the true nature of who I am within my communication, within my actions, and is this truly who I want to be? So if you would like to share a little bit about your process with humbleness and how you've practiced living it, feel free to post a comment, or if you'd prefer to send me a direct message, you're welcome to do so. I can, if you would like, post anonymously on your behalf. Thank you for watching. You're going to see me next time.